Harry sank to his knees down an abandoned corridor, crying softly. He had fled the hospital wing shortly after seeing one of his best friends lying inanimate on the infirmary bed. "What do you think you are doing, Potter?" A baritone voice snarled suddenly. Harry looked up miserably as a black-clad figure stepped into view. "There's a monster on the loose inside the castle, and you're to be found alone in an abandoned corridor. Get up!" Harry stood slowly and lifted his red-rimmed emerald eyes. Snape flinched as he saw them. He turned his back on him. "Follow me, Mr. Potter." Severus felt oddly satisfied as he heard a gentle pitter-patter fall in line behind him. "You will be serving a detention from me, as I distinctly recall Professor McGonagall issuing a rule stating that no student is to be in the halls without escort of a staff member." He received a sniffle in reply. "Oh, for Merlin's sake, Potter," he cried in exasperation. He pulled a piece of cloth from his robes, suspiciously resembling a handkerchief. He thrust it behind him. "Here." "Thank you, sir," a soft voice hiccuped. Severus startled slightly. The gratitude appeared sincere enough. Severus sighed in relief as he stalked the corridor, relieved by the unnaturally empty hallway, yet oddly disturbed at the same time. No fangirls, at least, he mused with a smirk. He found himself in a rather peculiar good mood. The detention with Potter went rather well. For once, the boy didn't wear one of those annoying shirts. The boy had come to the detention on time, just as Severus had returned from Diagon Alley for some shopping. He simply needed some things for his house, including some more shampoo and bath wash. He left the brat to his potions, for Potter had improved enough to be trusted with such a simple brew. He was looking for a key ingredient for his own potion in his private stores. When he returned, the Potter scion was standing next to his desk, looking rather smug. Probably proud of his improvements, Severus thought to himself. I suppose I can't begrudge him of that. He has improved considerably. Severus raked a hand through his silky black hair as he purposed toward the great hall. Odd, he mused, as a wonderful mixed scent of rain and sandalwood wafted before his nose. The manufacturers of my shampoo must have changed the formula. He entered the dining hall for breakfast. Heads turned in his direction as he gracefully strode toward the teacher's table. He frowned at the pointing and whispers. What's with them? He sat in his customary seat as he folded his napkin into his lap and picked up his fork. Minerva purred. Severus froze as he turned to face her. The old cat was sniffing the air. Dumbledore's eyes twinkled as he glanced over at the frowning potions master. Severus, I must say, your hair is quite the attraction this morning, the headmaster said. Gilderoy Lockhart turned to face him, a shocked expression on his face. Severus, you must tell me of the new shampoo you've been using. Your hair looks fantastic. Do tell your secret. We famous people must stick together, you know. He winked. Severus blinked stupidly as he absently answered the idiot. Frowning, he conjured a mirror from his table napkin and peered into it. To his shock, his black, greasy hair, rather than lying flat on his head, was bouncing gracefully in wavy, silky black stands. He blinked his surprise. He looked up. Several of the female students looked away, giggling madly and blushing. He sighed and looked away, only to catch the emerald eye of a teen with untidy hair smirking with grim satisfaction. Potter? Severus scowled. What the hell did you do to my shampoo? Severus picked up the bottle shampoo and pointed his wand at the container. The bottle morphed from his usual brand to a completely different label. Impressive bit of transfiguration, Potter, he spat. The new shampoo worked surprisingly well at removing the potion's residue from his hair. Severus made a mental note to find out where the new shampoo could be bought. Smirking, he made his way to the grand hall for lunch. Chew. Severus blinked in surprise as Gilderoy Lockhart glared over at him. What's his problem, huh? Severus pursed his lips, resisting a sudden urge to snicker. The defense teacher had tried Severus's old shampoo, and the result had left the man's usually handsome curly hair lank and greasy on his strangely pointed head. The man didn't look nearly as handsome in the new look. Severus glanced over at Potter's table to see the boy's reaction. The boy blinked stupidly at his inept defense teacher before ducking his head, concealing a small grin. The boy's shoulders shook slightly, giving the impression that the boy was laughing silently. Severus smirked. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed. Potter seems a little short for his age. He's almost a head shorter than the rest of the boys his age. I never noticed before. Nice hair, Professor, the brat whispered cheekily. Severus hitched, a scowl on his face. Get in the classroom, Potter. The brat grinned and scampered off. Severus fought a smirk and followed him inside. He eyed the students with a well-placed scowl. The girls in class sighed, eyeing him with adoration. He whipped around impressively, this time his scowl genuine. Turn to page 136. We will be working on a bruise paste, as you graceless dunderheads are at the age to bruise easily, not to mention the increased recklessness and false bravado. I will accept nothing less than perfection on this project. Well, get to work, he snapped irritably. Harry smirked and began gathering ingredients and setting up his cauldron. After all, this paste could come in handy, especially while living at the Dursleys. Harry put his new potion skills to use, analyzing the book's set of instructions. Harry made a face, unaware that he was being watched. The boys already noticed the problems with the book's rigid adherence to the traditional recipes. Severus mused to himself. Perhaps Potter isn't as inept as I previously thought. Harry smiled to himself as he finished adapting the instructions from the book. He lit the fire beneath his cauldron and set to work. Perhaps things won't be so bad at the Dursleys if I take enough of this formula with me during the summer. Harry shuddered at the thought of returning to the Dursleys. Severus frowned thoughtfully as he watched the boy tremble. Peculiar. Potter looks pale. I wonder what would affect the boy so much. Harry smirked in grim satisfaction as the paste clurped happily in his cauldron. The color was paler than the book described, but Harry believed the effects to be more potent. Severus hid his astonishment. This formula could possibly be as effective as my own modifications. He nodded curtly. Acceptable, Potter, he said softly, as he turned to watch other young brewers. Harry's eyes widened in surprise. He actually liked it. Well, if it's good enough for Professor Snape to like. He conjured several jars and began gouging the gluttonous substance from the cauldron. Severus shot Potter a double take as the child filled jars with the paste. He frowned as he noted the grim expression on the boy's face. Potter's becoming more of a mystery by the moment. Why would he need 10 jars of bruise paste? Surely he doesn't injure himself that much during Quidditch. Harry labelled and dated the jars, carefully placing them, minus the one he was handing in to Snape, in his bag, and began cleaning his station. He bit his lips sorrowfully as he noted Hermione's empty seat. I hope those mandrakes will be ready soon. Severus skulked down Diagon Alley toward the apothecary. He had just paid for very necessary ingredients when he heard a familiar stampeding sound. Oh no, he muttered ruefully to himself and swiftly billowed toward the flow as a gaggle of screaming girls raced toward him. He skidded to a halt as a group of girls stood between him and the flue. Gulping, he backed up and turned, only to find himself surrounded by squealing, drooling fangirls. To his dismay, Severus also spotted a few boys. Severus Snape, your hair looks absolutely wonderful, a woman said boldly, and a pink tinge appeared on Severus's high, sallow cheekbones as several girls giggled and whispered excitedly. Will you give me a few strands? The woman asked. What? Will you sign my potions book? Would you go on a date? Will you sign my underwear? Several girls shrieked and charged him. His eyes widened as they dove at him. Severus panted as he slammed the Hogwarts gates closed, his shredded black robes whipping in the wind, his wavy, silky hair disheveled. His black eyes darted around in paranoid frenzy. He jumped away from the gates as they rattled ominously, screaming girls tugging at the metal bars, reaching through the gaps. "Severus, I love you!" one girl shouted. Paling more than seemingly possible, Severus spun gracefully around and strode toward the main castle door. As he entered the blissfully dimly lit foyer, he bellowed, "Harry Potter!"